Hello, everybody. Stephen Jensen here. Jessi Davin will be popping in shortly. We got her on screen ready to go here in a second. Hope y'all can hear me and see me okay. If you can or can't, I guess let me know in the chat. And we are here to basically talk about our favorite moments of 2021. And we'll also talk some AEW Dynamite, I'm sure, along the way, because they've been absolutely killing it, in my opinion. AEW Dynamite and Rampage, a whole lot of good stuff going on. So thank you all very much for joining us, and I have some super chats that we can get into real quick. There's Jessi.
Sorry, I had to empty my bag.
There you go. That was.
I thought it was gonna be quick, but I wasn't. Dang it.
That was the classic like someone streaming from home move right there, where you literally can see them like running into their room, jumping over their beds. So yeah, thanks for everyone joining us today. I'm gonna hit the super chats real quick.
Yes.
And then we'll jump into everything. So when I set the stream up 2 days ago, Corey with the super chat, thank you very much, says, "Thank you for a great year, Jessi and Stephen." Well, thank you, Corey, for all the support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. Man. Thank you so much.
You're the man. Deshaun Turner with the super chat as well. Thank you, Deshaun. You're always in here. We really appreciate all of our loyal viewers. Thank you very much, Deshaun. Says, "Hey, Stephen and..."
Thank you, Deshaun.
"Hey, Stephen and beautiful Jessi, how are you, love?" So I'm guessing he's asking how you're doing, Jessi.
I am doing all right. In fact, right now I unhooked from my TPN. As you all know, I have a PICC line, and one of them is white and one of them is clear. The white one has the TPN, which is keeping me alive, basically, with all my nutrients. And what I have to do is I have to flush it out and then give myself a heparin and all that. So I have to do that. So You'll see me doing that, but it's not anything. It's just because I got these two education. See these two ports?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. But I'm doing okay. I feel like I get stronger every day. Obviously, I'm still not out of the woods. Still in a lot of pain. Still having some issues. My weight's not going up as quick as they thought, which really stinks. But it's kind of hard when you have two kids. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. I'm alive. That's what matters, and I'm home. So how are you, Stephen? How's the weather?
Yeah, so that's a good segue to let y'all know. I'm dealing with some... It's like kind of storming here, so if there is any kind of like connection issue or y'all hear like rain really heavy beating off of my roof, there's really nothing I can do about it. But me and Jessi will hang out here probably for about an hour or so with y'all, and if anything happens with the connection, that's why. I just wanted to give you all a heads up. But yeah, I'm doing good. I'll get into more of kind of what's going on right now. I'll read Corey's second super chat real quick just so we don't miss it. It says, "I've missed you all very much. I'm so happy to see Jessi doing better. I'm getting better slowly, but let's keep positivity and love. Love you all." Well, yeah.
Amen, Corey.
Yeah. Keep it positive. I know Corey, has his ups and downs,
yes.
And everything, and it seems like things have been going pretty good for him from what I've been seeing. So,
let's keep that up in 2022, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. That goes to everybody in the chat. Next year, let's make this a good year, positive year. I feel like in Jessi's case, it could really only go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
'Cause, this last year was rough. Hopefully 2022, just totally rules. There's a lot of good wrestling at the beginning of the year. There's a lot of good stuff that a lot of us get to go to. So yeah, very, very excited. As far as the stuff going on with me, it's been fun. I mean, this has been a good year. I'm really, I guess, thankful for all the work I get to do with Fightful and all that stuff. It's been a really good year for all that. Video editing. Hope to get more editing work next year with MMA and pro wrestling stuff. And
that would be awesome. You deserve it. Hire him.
Hire me. But yeah, otherwise, it's going good. I'm actually looking around to see if there's any kind of jobs around, because I have so much free time right now that I could be working more. So yeah, but things are going good. I can't complain. It's been
awesome.
But it's been a pretty good year, and I think 2022 is going to be great. I hope it is.
It's gonna be great. You gotta go in with that mindset. I'm telling you.
Yes, my one plan for this next year that I'm hoping to do, I gotta go and like make sure it's all good to go and everything. But I'm gonna try to donate my hair on May 22nd. That's like that's the 20th anniversary of my mother passing. So I if I can do it on that day, and it's like I can give my hair to somebody who's going through cancer, and like it'll help them with their confidence and feel better. Like that's what I want to do this year.
I can tell you firsthand, as someone who lost her hair.
Yeah, I know it's important. So
it makes a world of difference. Yes. So that'll be very special.
I just gotta
I'm marking that on my calendar.
So May 22nd. It's my birthday. A lot of people know that. My mom passed on my birthday, so it's one of those things. It's like,
didn't you want to she wanted to make it to your birthday, right?
Always. I mean, she always it was always she was always thinking about us, and yeah, it's just one of those things where like I'm gonna have to start going probably to like like a salon or something, and like making sure that like my hair is like healthy enough like over the next 6 months, because I want to make sure I give someone like I want to give someone some good hair. I don't want them to see it and be like disappointed. Yeah. Like I've been growing this for a long time, and it's like down past my tits now, so like it's definitely long enough to donate. So, but that all being said, other news. I have now finally started investing in NFTs. So
I thought is that real?
Yeah, I wasn't kidding about that.
Oh my gosh, really?
So it's nothing that serious, but
okay.
But Dave & Buster's now has their own NFTs, and
amazing.
You can win them with like you can exchange tickets for NFTs there if you win enough.
Oh my gosh.
So I finally have some NFTs, and they're Dave & Buster's related, and I don't know if they're worth anything now or they'll be worth anything in the future, but I figure...
Who cares?
Yeah, I figure to a very small degree, I own a very, 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 very small percentage of Dave & Buster's in the digital world. So,
let's be real, you own them in the real world too. Come on.
Well, that's true. I own the games. I own the games. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it was great. There was a guy there that he's like the manager there at Dave & Buster's. I've talked about him before. He's a little bit older. He's probably like 10 years older than me or so, maybe a little bit older than that. And I've seen him almost every Wednesday for the last, year or whatever. I've been going to Dave & Buster's every week. And he's never talked to us, me and my brother. And as a matter of fact, he's one of the guys that like kind of like Hawkeyes us at some of these games, like almost like the pit boss or something at like a casino. and yesterday he was like the only one working because they had I guess they were short staffed, probably for the holidays and stuff. They probably got people on vacation and whatnot. So he was working a few of the different spots. So like we had to interact with him for the first time yesterday.
Oh boy! And
this guy sees us every week, like I said. And then all the other employees at this point, they always pay respect to us, right? Like, we come in, they know we want 2 backwood lemonades right when we walk in there. So the bartender sees me and my brother. She gets them ready for us. She never charges us before 4 p.m. because that's when the happy hour prices hit. So she'll never actually make us pay full price. And all the people at the prize zone, like, I walk in there and they go to the back and they check to see if they have any Funko Chase Pops, because that's what I'm always looking for. So they'll get them ready for me on the counter and see if they got any football helmets in. And they give us like the VIP treatment there because most Wednesdays we're the only people there, or it's us and like maybe a couple others. Anyways, yesterday finally have to have this conversation with this dude. Never talked to him before. I think this guy's just gonna like be like, oh yeah, so now that I've got a chance to talk to y'all, like y'all been dicking us, you know what I mean? And we get up there and he's like, what's up, y'all? Good to finally get in. And we were like, oh, what's up, dude? And he's like, yeah, man. Like, what do y'all like? What do y'all need? Like, I see you in here all the time. And I was like,
aw,
yeah, man. Like, we were, just looking for this or that, and like there was actually like something that was on display that wasn't even like for sale. And I was like, I kind of want this like Dak Prescott thing y'all got, but like it's already open. And he's like, man, we'll just give it to you. He didn't even charge us. He was like, we'll just give it to you. And I was like, dude, happy holidays, man. Like, happy New Year. I was like, and he was like, yeah, man, it's good to finally talk to y'all. Like, it was like the nicest guy in the world. And I was like, I thought he was the one guy who was kind of like the barrier between like me and all the like really cool nice stuff. People there. Like, because Because at some point, the corporate's got to come in and like
And be
look
like,
at
what is going on? You got all this merchandise that's coming off the shelves.
and it's only happening on Wednesdays. It's only happening mainly from this one machine, you know. And it's like it's so out of like they have to know. But it's one of these things where like he was cool as hell, and I was like, dude,
That's
I
awesome.
wish I would have said something to this guy. I just didn't want to like blow our spot earlier on, and him be like, don't now make sure you're not playing that machine too often because I see what y'all are doing. Like it was nothing like that. It was like, yeah, keep screwing us. Like they're screwing me. Keep screwing the building. You know what I mean? Like so.
Amazing! What a Christmas miracle!
It was. It was a Christmas miracle. There was two
That's
Christmas
so
miracles
cool.
this year. There was a Christmas miracle of Dave and Buster's and the Christmas miracle of Cody Rhodes winning the TNT title for a third
Yes,
time.
that's cool. Yes.
Got a couple more super chats. Corey Hummel
Yes,
says,
we do.
I missed you all missed you all very much. I'm happy to see Jessi doing better. I'm getting better slowly, but let's keep positive. Keep up positivity and love. Love you all. Absolutely.
Love you, Corey, man. We appreciate you. We're always rooting for you.
Yes, and also I'm getting a little bit jealous of you, Corey. Not in a bad way, obviously, but I'm getting jealous of you a little bit because now, see, what Corey's been doing. I get all of the regular release AEW figures, and I veer out into the special edition chase. I mean, if I can find chase variants and stuff. The Amazon exclusives, I'm not like all the way in on yet. Ringside exclusive, not, but I dabble. Corey's been getting some stuff that I don't even have, and now I'm like, oh, I might have to start getting those too because he's getting hyped up for some of this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but now I kind of want it also. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Good for you, Corey.
I'm happy that you're collecting these AEW figures. I think they're great.
That's a good thing to do.
Yes. Matt Reichel with a super chat. Thank you very much, Matt. Says Happy New Year, Stephen and
you,
Jessi.
Matt.
Been working around COVID-19 patients and extremely stressed. This stream helps along with pro wrestling.
Oh, I'm so glad this helps, Matt. Thank you, man. Thank you for your work. Yeah. That's hard work, and I'm sure it is scary and stressful, especially now with this whole new Omega, Omicron, whatever, Octobots, I don't know, Autobots variant that's going on.
I know.
It's not funny, but you try to make I try and make light of even the saddest of situations. But thank you for your work, Matt, and thank you for your super chat. I'm really glad that we can help, and pro wrestling does help a lot.
Yes, that makes you feel great, Matt. That like this helps you out through stressful times, and pro wrestling has always been something that's helped me throughout my whole life. Like just dealing with when the real world stuff isn't going well, it's a good escape to be able to chill and watch some pro wrestling. I really wish this kind of stuff existed when I was younger, like other fans talking about it that were so accessible. Like
I was kind of telling right now my parents' Christmas gift to us was kind of like a babysitter to help us out when they're not here. And I was telling her about, your story and how pro wrestling helped you, because she was asking about like my streams and everything, and how, dealing with what you went through, like with your mom and stuff, how pro wrestling helped you through that. And I think that's, if we're looking at like the whole year, there were amazing things that happened this year, but it's like, at the end of the day, we have to remember that we love pro wrestling because it is our escape, but it is our passion, and we love it. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, that's what pisses me off so much about when like people are attacking each other on Twitter over wrestling, because it's like, y'all really, whether it's like a company thing or a wrestler thing or whatever, like y'all really probably relate to each other way more than you don't. Like
that is such a good statement.
Like, because I bet you that same fan, you could choose whatever company you want. This isn't meant to be for or against any company when I say this, but like, if you watch Company A and you're always yelling at the fans from Company B and vice versa, and it's like, you're both probably in like pretty similar boat, like kind of like, you're watching wrestling for whatever reason, whether it's like you're going through something or you just really are entertained by it, or you love a certain wrestler, or like whatever the reason is. Like at the end of the day, like it is a very niche kind of, for lack of a better term, like weird hobby. Like it's something that most people aren't that like proud. At least I know I wasn't when I was younger, to like when I was in school, if I'd talk about liking wrestling, it just everyone would make fun of it and talk about how fake it was and how back in the day how gay it was, and stuff, and it was just like, and you kind of had to like, we were almost kind of like in the closet about it, like, 'cause it was like, you loved it and you wanted to talk about it, but like none of your friends liked it anymore. Like when I was a kid, my friends did, but when I got older, like none of my friends liked it anymore, and it's like. And like the people that you're arguing with on Twitter could probably be your best friend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
If you were at the grocery store and they were wearing like a pro wrestling shirt, no matter what company, you would probably get excited. You know what I mean? Like on Halloween, there was a kid dressed up as the Fiend, and I saw him across the street, and I ran inside and I got my Fiend jacket. And I said, and when he came to our table, I said, "Let me in, Fiend, let me in." And he looked at me and his little eyes lit up and he goes, "You watch WWE?" And I was like, "Yes." And I showed him my jacket and he goes, Mom, she knows who I am. She knows who I am. So it's like, it is so exciting. Even though I may be a big, AEW fan, I'm still a wrestling fan and I still have like passion for it. And you're so right. It's like you probably have a lot more in common with the person you're fighting with than you realize.
Yeah, and you probably made that person's entire year, because those unless that kid's parents are fans, which they may or may not be, who knows, but like I know in my case, like my parents really didn't want me watching wrestling. Like it was like forbidden after a while. Like my mom's the best person in the history of my life, but like she hated that I liked pro wrestling. Like she wanted me to be into anything else except for pro wrestling. Like, and my dad was the same way. Like they just didn't get it. And so like it was one of those things where I had no support as a kid for this kind of stuff. And and it was awesome when like my friends knew what I was talking about, or like, but it would have meant a lot if I could have seen someone like me now at my age on like the internet or gone trick or treating, and like an adult that I thought was cool or something was like, oh hell yeah, like you got that Roman Reigns shirt on, dude, he's killing it. You know what I mean? Like well, about Roman Reigns, like like it's John Cena. I wish he was back. Yeah, I love John Cena. Like that's I'm even though I don't like the show anymore. Like that doesn't mean that I'm gonna like ruin some kid's good time that enjoys it, or even an adult. Like it's whatever.
It's whatever.
But it's just I'm sure that meant a lot, and we need more of that in the wrestling community, and I think that goes.
I think so.
Yeah, so I think that kind of piggybacks off what Matt was saying with just like this stream and watching wrestling and stuff helps out through.
Oh God, times.
Yeah. So
absolutely, yes, for sure.
Yeah. Sweet. Well.
Well,
let's talk about some of our favorite stuff from 2020. We could talk some Dynamite if it comes up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was trying to think because like this whole year has just been crazy. Like especially like the last half, like flew by for me, and. The thing I remember, I was like, okay, so what's like the first pay-per-view? I'm like, the Royal Rumble. Oh, I was giving birth during the Royal Rumble.
That's right.
So I was trying to think about that. Bianca Belair won, and I think Drew McIntyre won the men's, correct?
That sounds right.
I was a little bit busy.
That's how little I watched the WWE now. I can't even remember. But I watched it.
Was Revolution the one with the firework mishap?
I think so, with the death match. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was Revolution. I'm really bad about remembering people's names. Yeah, that would have been February, yeah.
I was thinking, okay, so that was like a big funny thing.
Yeah, that was tough as an AEW fan. But
that was tough as an AEW fan, but I tell you what, now it's hilarious because guess what? They acknowledged, I think that's probably the best thing about AEW. It's like, if that happened in WWE, they would be like, we're never going to talk about it again. That never happened. We're never going to mention it. We're never going to mention it. We're going to ban the word fireworks. We're going to ban the word barbed wire. But at least AEW, him and Jon Moxley sitting by that fireplace, they cut that promo. They acknowledged it. They goof on it. They embrace the meme, so to speak. And you know what? Nobody really talks about it other than a passing comment. You know what I mean? If it was, WWE and we're not talking about it, people would start chanting about it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they did a great job of just
Oh,
like
Edge
explaining.
won.
Yeah,
Edge won.
Edge won the Rumble at #1. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Honesty, clearly.
I feel bad because like Edge was like one of my favorite wrestlers for like most of my like childhood and teenage years and stuff, and it's really cool that he's back. But like I've literally seen him wrestle maybe like 3 times since because like I just haven't been watching. It's like I want to watch some of these guys that like I'm a fan of, but I just don't care enough to sit through like these 3-hour shows and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edge won. I mean,
that's right.
That's cool. I guess let me know in the chat, and especially if you have a super chat, we'll put up on the screen and deep dive a little bit more. But who do y'all think is going to win the Royal Rumbles this year for the men and the women?
Ooh. Well, I see Wave Rim said that his favorite moment, one of the high points this year, and I completely agree, was Big E winning the WWE Championship.
Yep.
Brilliant move by WWE. It was his time. And then I think Xavier Woods winning the King of the Ring, which was like his dream growing up. I think that was a really, really cool moment. It happened in a show that I forgot about, so I didn't watch it. It was the one,
the Saudi Arabia show.
Yeah, the Saudi Arabia show. So unfortunately, I totally forgot about it, and totally missed it. But I did watch that, and it was very, very precious. So I'm really hoping to see more Xavier Woods. I love Big E as champion. I really do. I think Big E is like the embodiment of, to me, like how we all should be about pro wrestling, because there's moments where he takes it very, very seriously and he can turn it on and be very serious about it, but then he likes to have fun. And I feel like that's kind of like the embodiment of life. Take it seriously, but don't be afraid to have fun. And he has so much fun. He's fun,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good for him.
So.
I'm happy for him as a person. I haven't seen any of his title run. I saw him win the title because they advertised it that he was. He had like a
good cage match. He's had cage matches. He's done a lot.
Good for him.
So like, I think his reign's been pretty good. I think he's defended it very well. Better than Drew McIntyre, honestly. I feel bad for Drew McIntyre. Because, he had he was like the pandemic champion.
COVID champ. That's my brother. My brother doesn't even know his name, but he knows him as COVID champ when he sees him.
COVID champ, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other good. In the chat, let us know if you super chat. We'll definitely see. What were your favorite WWE moments of 2021? I'm trying to think.
I couldn't. I really couldn't.
Big E winning. That was really good. Bianca Belair winning the Women's Royal Rumble was really good, but then they ruined it.
But they had that match at WrestleMania. That was a pretty big deal.
Oh, Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. That match was incredible. And they main evented WrestleMania. I'm getting chills. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
I've got chills thinking about it because I remember them looking at each other and being like, and Bianca crying. Oh, that was awesome. Oh, the rain delay.
That's right.
At WrestleMania, that actually gave us some of the best like backstage promos we've seen because they had
unscripted actual.
They were unscripted. Yeah. They were forced to be their own selves. They were forced to be their own characters. I thought that was great. Samoa Joe in a poncho was funny. Obviously, a low point would be all the releases.
Oh, of course.
Sure. And then recently, the most recent is Toni Storm quit. I heard. Mm-hmm. That she was not fired, she quit, so that's interesting. RIP NXT 1.0. We have NXT 2.0 now. That was interesting. Becky and Brock returning at SummerSlam. I love babyface Brock. Let's babyface Brock Lesnar's the best. I loved his return at SummerSlam. Did not like Becky's at SummerSlam just because I feel like she deserved a little bit better because and so did Bianca. But I'm happy that she's back. I'm happy Becky's back. I'm not a fan of her character because honestly, I think she's too kind of a human being to try and be a heel. But I am happy that she's back, and I'm grateful that she's back. So I don't know. What about you?
For WWE,
Yeah.
I'd have to really try to think from because I've only really seen the pay-per-views, and even then I wasn't paying like super close attention usually. I'll say a moment that really stands out for me was Jeff Hardy beating Karrion Kross on Raw, like really
Yes.
quick, because
Yes.
that just
That was
really, yeah, it just really like set the tone for what was to come with NXT.
Exactly.
Like it was like that was the foreshadowing of like, oh, they're gonna change a lot about this. Like they protected that dude so heavily in NXT, and then it was like, oh, they just don't care. Like they're just.
And then they brought him out in that weird mask, and it was like, oh no.
Yeah, that whole thing was bad. What I saw of it. I'm trying to think of like, I mean, obviously Roman Reigns is his run with the title has been really good from what I've seen, of course.
Oh, the Bloodline has been great.
Yeah.
Love the Bloodline.
I'm trying to think like
Leaving the Thunderdome, Piz 243.
Yeah.
That's a big moment. That was a monumental moment. Yes. Huge.
I think RK Bro, like that's worked out pretty well, it looks like.
Love that. Yes, it's hilarious. Who would have thought?
Good for them. I'm a fan of both. Yeah, I'm a fan of both those guys. So like,
that's worked really well.
I haven't seen any of it, but I think it's cool that Riddle is doing stuff with MSK on NXT also. Like it's gonna be.
Oh, is he?
Apparently, it's gonna be. Oh yeah, so he's the shaman to MSK.
That's great.
And they're setting up a match. I think NXT actually might have a show like this weekend that I completely forgot about until just now. And I think one of the matches, either for that or I'm assuming it's for that, but it's gonna be Imperium and Walter versus MSK and Riddle. Like,
oh my god, that's gonna slap, dude.
Yeah, that's
like,
gonna
literally.
Be yeah. Walter's gonna chop the hell out of everybody.
Yes.
That's gonna be an awesome match.
That's gonna rule. Oh, that's gonna be. I want to see that for sure.
But outside of that, like, there's not a whole lot more. I guess I could really say I'm like that excited about. I think that. Well, I'll give a prediction for this year. I think Omos wins the WWE title from Big E this year.
Do you think so?
I think he's the one to do it.
Take it.
I mean, unless they drop it at this day one show, because it's like a 4-way. But I don't know.
Well, there's like nobody that can be on it, right?
I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't think anybody. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think anybody has like been failing COVID tests. I think they were just like precautionarily taking people off shows so they could all be on day one for sure. I think they're like prioritizing getting everyone to the pay-per-view and like not risking certain things to like in the lead up to it. I could be totally wrong about that though. And I do think it's funny the WWE is now taking the approach of like after all this time now they're going through the approach of like, well, if we just stop testing then like there can't be positive tests. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say politically how I feel about like testing and the vaccine and all that stuff. But what I will say is, when you're working that close to people, where you're touching them and sweating on them and bleeding on them and all that stuff, like it's probably a pretty good idea to make sure that you don't have COVID before you get into that. But I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean. The good news is, we're not where we were, like, a couple years ago where we didn't have treatment or anything.
Right.
It doesn't make it okay, but, you know, like I said, I don't really want to get into...
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, that's too controversial. Unfortunately, it's too controversial for us to get into.
Yes.
But, I'm trying to think. Let's see. I'm trying to think of other. If anything else that I think of from WWE comes up, then I will. Oh, Pat McAfee has been just absolutely the best ever, probably in WWE. I would say, other than like Jim Ross, obviously, you know, and all them. But him and Michael Cole are hilarious, and I appreciate. I appreciate so much like Pat McAfee gives us So AEW gives us fan service. They're like Marvel. I was thinking about it. AEW is a lot like Marvel. They give us fan service and not like cheesy fan service. Usually it typically works out pretty well for them, as you can see from Marvel's. Yes. My husband was asking me about which remote was what. So, but they typically give us fan service, and I feel like Pat McAfee gives us little nuggets of fan service. Like the one time John Cena was out there, he's like, "Where is he? I can't see him. Where is he?" Or just stuff like that. Or when they were chanting CM Punk, he was like, "They're saying we want love. We want love." That was hilarious. I love Pat McAfee. I think he's hilarious.
I think he's a great dude. I think he's probably the best celebrity wrestler I've ever seen. Like his stuff in NXT was really, really, really good. For a guy who doesn't wrestle.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll say this. I think he's a terrible WWE commentator from what I've heard. But he brings a level of enthusiasm that they need. Like
he's not the best at Michael Cole does that for him.
Right, which is like totally fine. I've said that before. Yeah. My favorite commentary team in the history of wrestling is Mike Tenay and Don West from TNA. Mm-hmm. And it's the same kind of thing in a lot of ways. Like Don West didn't really know what was going on to the full degree. Like I think Pat McAfee was like a wrestling fan growing up, but he wasn't like watching everything. Like if I was to ask him about something from like Ring of Honor or something, like he wouldn't know what I was talking about. But like I think he's watched like pro wrestling as a kid and kind of kept up with it as a teenager kind of thing and as an adult, but doesn't have like the really deepest knowledge of like what's like really going on there and like the full history of it. But that's okay as long as the person next to you does. So like with Mike Tenay and Don West, like Don West was literally an infomercial guy who just got really enthusiastic about stuff and just would hype things up and get really excited. And then Mike Tenay would always be the one like explaining what was actually going on and like the quote unquote professor of professional wrestling and like talking about things that like really mattered to like keep the progress of like the show going and the stories and stuff. But Tenay was there, or that West was there to just like mark out as a fan on commentary. Yeah. And he
was there to give like the fan commentary almost.
Yes, and that's how I feel about Pat McAfee, which is why I do like him as a commentator. Even though I don't think he's necessarily like a good pro wrestling commentator, I think he brings a level of enthusiasm to it to where as long as you got a guy like Michael Cole next to him, that can work out really, really well. So, and I think Pat McAfee's just a good dude. Like I just saw he donated like literally like probably $10 million or so to like just various charities and various like football programs. Dude, yeah. Well, they just got a gigantic deal with DraftKings or FanDuel. I think it's FanDuel.
Really
gigantic deal. I don't know if it's been what's been reported, but I heard something
like a Joe Rogan kind of deal.
Yeah. I think more than Rogan got for Spotify. I think
That's awesome.
I could be wrong, but yeah, it was a lot of money, and they gave away. I mean, they didn't have to give any of it away if they didn't want to, but they gave away so much money.
I mean, my gosh, it's like with all that, when you at the point where you have so much money, it's like, why don't you just give it away?
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to spend this in your amount of life, your kids' amount of life, your kids' like.
Yeah, it's like, what do? Buy a bigger mansion or give someone a house that can need it, Yeah.
Trevor Lombardi said $30 million. If that's the case, that's Joe Rogan got $100 million, I think.
I think 200 million. I thought about something like that.
Well, I mean, I didn't.
At least 100 million.
But I mean, 30 million is still like you should never run out of that for multiple lifetimes. Like, that's probably the biggest deal that like a outside. You can't really call Joe Rogan like a YouTuber anymore because like he does everything through Spotify. But they run clips on YouTube still. But McAfee's probably, I'd imagine, he's probably the highest paid or one of the highest paid like YouTubers to talk about sports on YouTube.
Yeah,
because there's other YouTubers that make more than that, like Jake Paul, for instance, probably makes $30 million like a year. But
easy.
Yeah, I mean those guys are probably nearing on billionaires, which is insane. But like for a guy to like who created his own sports talk show that just runs on the internet, he's probably the highest paid there's ever been to do specifically that on a free platform like YouTube. So
yeah.
So yeah, huge
Good.
shout out to those guys. And he got
Yeah.
his boys paid too, because he has his whole crew of guys that are like
Yeah.
his buddies that are on the show. They all
Yeah.
got $250,000 bonuses when they signed the new deal.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, so Pat McAfee, and I think if anyone can think of anything else for WWE, let me know, or if something comes up, we'll say it. But I think one of the biggest things for AEW was clearly the return of CM Punk.
Yeah, that was the biggest moment of the entire year in wrestling.
That was the biggest moment of the year. I get chills again. Look at that. Get chills.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps, bruh. I think that obviously was a big, huge moment. And I think to the people that say that AEW is like milking the shit out of CM Punk, like, you know, like last night, CM Punk for the first time in Jacksonville, you know, at Daly's Place, the home of AEW. It's his first time. You know, yeah, you could say they're milking it, they're making a big deal out of it, but duh, who wouldn't? People have been chanting his name since he left. He has been in everyone's mouths since he left WWE. He said, I mean, it was a huge deal. We thought he'd never wrestle again in AEW showed up. And then when AEW showed up, we went to All Out. We went to Chicago. He has a panel. Everyone thought he'd show up then. He still wasn't ready. He still wasn't ready. And I actually was like backstage with him, and I heard him talking, and I heard him kind of like saying some things, and I was like, huh. And even then, he still didn't show up. And then finally, in the year 2021, there he is. And what is he doing? He's putting over younger wrestlers. He's going on commentary. He's doing what he wants. He seems so passionate about it again. He seems like he enjoys it. He seems like he's doing what he wants. And it seems like he's having fun. And I think that's the most important thing. And if I was AEW, and I'm sure for what they paid for him, I would milk the shit out of it too.
Absolutely, unquestionably. Like,
yeah,
you know, and that's something that I want to put this out there. And this is mainly for people that don't like when I talk about CM Punk, because I get that a lot, especially on Twitter, which is just fine. I can take it. I'm a grown man. If you are angry about my wrestling takes or MMA takes, that's totally fine. But people really don't like when I talk about CM Punk because of how harsh I've been on his MMA career, which I think it deserves criticism. Like, it was terrible. But that being said, part of the reason that my issues with CM Punk go beyond just like the bad MMA career. It was anytime he was asked about wrestling over the last handful of years, like he didn't want anything to do with wrestling, like, and which is fine, but it's one of those things where it seemed a little disingenuous to me at first, where it was like, okay, now he's back and he's all smiles, but it's like, is he here for the money? Like, what's he here for? Because like he's trying to distance himself from this so much, to the point where like he came back to Fox, like basically a WWE produced show, like first, like I didn't know like what his real motivation for doing all this was, outside of like making easy money, because like he's still a very big name in wrestling. But then you see what he's done since he's returned. Came in and you know, and no one seems to have a problem with this, which I think is interesting too. People complain about Cody and Cody beating too many people and stuff. CM Punk hadn't lost to anyone. He's coming in, he's beating all their guys. But it's worked out perfect, because even in a loss, Darby Allin comes out looking better. Even in a loss, Daniel Garcia comes out looking better. Even in a loss, you know, Kingston and you know, this MJF match. I'm hoping MJF wins, but if he doesn't, like, I'm sure they'll do it the right way. And then when I get to see CM Punk in the ring with the face paint on next to Sting, and you're like, that was cool. And you're like, and this dude's marking out, it's like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Like,
that's the fun.
Yes, this guy is out. This isn't just for the money. Like, this is him coming back and loving pro wrestling again. And I'm all about that. Like, I think that's awesome. This is what I've been waiting for. Like, I got tired quickly of the CM Punk coming out, kind of like MJF said, coming out here and just talking about how happy he is to be here and yada yada. It's like, are you or aren't you? Like, you're getting paid a lot of money to come out and not really have to do a whole lot. And now it's like, dude, you're going above and beyond. Like, you're wearing Sting trunks, wearing Sting face paint, like having a good time out there, and like marking out with the fans. Like, I'm here for that. Like, I love seeing that kind of stuff. So I'm very very happy now that CM Punk's in the position that he's in with AEW.
Yes. Yes, me too. And I just, you know, last night I was thinking about it because I was thinking about what we were going to do. And like last night when I was in a panic and I wasn't going to be able to watch Dynamite because our cable box wasn't working, which by the way, we just found out it's our TV, not the cable box. So that's great. I was like panicking and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I get into the thing and it tells me that I have to log into Spectrum Internet to watch TNT. No. And then I was able to get it to work through a different way. And but it was like when I turned it on, I was so excited. And it's like I was thinking, I look so forward to Wednesday nights. I look so forward to Friday nights because, you know, Wednesday's Dynamite, and I have so much fun watching Dynamite. It doesn't matter if there's no surprises or anything. Dynamite is fun.
Yes.
It's so much fun. Rampage is so much fun, and SmackDown with the Bloodline is so much fun. You know, I'm really enjoying that part of SmackDown. You know, there's some positives going on, and then Pat McAfee's on there being a goof, and that's funny. And that's to me, I think the most important thing that came out of 2021 for me was, you know, I have the, you know, the whole like near death experience and all of that. And, you know, pro wrestling became fun to me again, because while it was fun in 2020, it was kind of scary because of the whole global pandemic thing. And, you know, the wrestlers weren't wrestling in front of anybody really. And, you know, it was kind of, we were having fun. We appreciated what they were doing, but we kind of felt bad because they were performing for us in the middle of a pandemic. And it was like, and, you know, I don't know. In 2021, pro wrestling became fun to me again, at least in AEW. And then with the Bloodline and some things in WWE became fun to me again, like RK Bro and Big E winning. And Bianca Belair winning the Royal Rumble was really cool.
Well, because like remember, like with WWE, the main storyline like that wasn't going on with the Bloodline. The main storyline was Retribution, which sucked.
Yes.
Like that was like the main focus of WWE for like 2020 was like COVID champ Drew McIntyre having like a terrible title run that wasn't his fault. Like here's the thing, McIntyre has a great look. He's very good in the ring. He's good on the microphone. Like he's a very believable guy as champion. And they booked him terribly with that title. And then I'm nothing against Bobby Lashley. I wanted to see Lashley win the title as well. But like the fact that they put the title on Lashley right before the fans all came back, like Drew just got so screwed in that scenario.
He got so screwed.
But the main story was Retribution, which was just so bad. That was a big reason why I completely stopped watching the show.
Yeah. Poor, how does he say it?
Mustafa
Ali. I don't want to say it wrong because I know that he's corrected people many times.
Yeah,
Ali.
I probably just said it wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm trying my best. I tried. That's what I'm trying. I know. Poor him. I mean, but you know what? I think he just had a baby recently, so congratulations. Not him, his wife had a baby. Sure. But he has a new member of the family, so congrats. But yeah, I mean, obviously that was a big moment. The biggest moment of 2021 for me was CM Punk, obviously. And then personally for me, like obviously almost dying towards the end of the year. The outpouring of love and support that I got from AEW wrestlers. Well, first of all, Kimberly Ford. Let's just take a moment. Kimberly Ford is one of the kindest, most sweetest people I've ever met. She went out of her way to tweet at AEW to give me support. And she would personally thank each and every one of those people for like sending a message to me. So I think Kimberly Ford is one of those people on Twitter. If you don't follow her, you really should. It's Royalty Canadian, I believe is her Twitter handle. She is one of the nicest people. that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, and I really just really appreciate her kindness from that. And the fact that all those AEW wrestlers, either privately or publicly, came out and supported me, it was so cool. It was so cool, and it really did help. And to me, and some WWE wrestlers too, privately and publicly, and it was really cool to see, that, the silly little war that people have online, like we were mentioning in the beginning. Number one, it's kind of over. NXT's on Tuesdays, AEW's on Wednesdays. Sure, Friday there's SmackDown, and then there's Rampage, but I really don't see those as competing because they're on different times and different channels and, stuff like that. And Rampage is typically pre-recorded and things like that. It's amazing when you realize that behind the scenes, all the wrestlers are just supporting one another, but the fans don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That was a really special thing for me, and I'm still giddy over it. Like every time I watch Dynamite or SmackDown, I get giddy. And then there was one very famous WWE wrestler, and you know about this, Stephen, who did a very kind thing for my family for Christmas.
Yep.
And I'm still trying to find a way to thank this person because I don't know how, but they did a very incredibly amazing and kind thing for my family. And I don't want to mention them because I don't know if they want the recognition. I feel like, this person is the kind of person that just wants to be nice behind the scenes,
I'll give everyone a clue. It's somebody who's known to be this type of person. Like it's somebody who, when if you heard this person's name, you'd be like, oh, that's who. It's the kind of person you'd expect to be someone who would go out of their way to help someone who needed it.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I really, like I said, I don't know if I'm comfortable sharing it publicly, but y'all can guess and take your guesses. I won't say yes or no either way. But it was very kind, and to me, and I think, I mentioned this in the chat, I very much, even before this, I knew it, but even now, especially now, I've learned to, and it's probably a faux pas in old school wrestling fans, but I've learned to separate the character from the person.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes we can be so into a show, we can get lost in that. Like, I'll be like, oh, blah, 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 it's making me so mad, blah, blah, blah. And I could say, a really cruel thing about the character, but then I remember, oh, my goodness, I'm on Twitter, I'm saying this publicly, and, the person behind it is going to read it. And I'm sure, they're professionals, they understand, they have characters and stuff, but it's like, we got to chill, people. We've run a lot of people off Twitter this year.
Yeah.
Jackson, you don't know who it was. I'm just going to say that. You don't know who it was, so don't be confirming or denying anything for me. What is going on? I'm getting text messages. Trump alert.
That's random.
Thanks. Okay. It's from a number that looks like my number, so I think it's a bot. Anyways, but
So Trevor's saying the Undertaker helping Jessi. Now that's gonna be all over the internet. The Undertaker helped Jessi or something.
Well, I will say it was not the Undertaker.
It wasn't the Undertaker. Yeah,
it was not the Undertaker. Please.
So the Undertaker's a good dude and everything, but this was not the Undertaker.
He's a good dude, but no. I did not hear from the Undertaker. I don't think he's very into Twitter.
No.
He's probably busy. I don't know.
I'll say this: it's someone that the Undertaker wrestled.
Yeah, there you go.
He wrestled a whole lot of people. Take your guess. He's been wrestled for like 30 years or whatever, but it's someone he wrestled.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so I'm still trying to find a way to thank that person. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But if anything, AEW gave us so many cool moments this year. I mean, we're getting basically like the Undisputed Era. The whole thing about NXT, that's like such a shock. NXT 2.0 was like the weirdest thing to me of 2021. It's just
Yeah, it's funny.
that whole thing.
It's funny because you also mentioned, you know, like kind of the Wednesday night wars that were going on and everything. With the pretty much everyone that mattered on NXT during those wars is now in AEW. like
I know.
it's like, so if you watched during that time frame and you were like a fan of the Undisputed Era, you're probably thinking like, and I know I was at the time, like, you weren't even thinking like a year from now all these guys might be on the other show, but they all are. And I think that there's more coming, you know. I don't know who and when, but there's still some big names out there like Keith Lee and like Karrion Kross, and you know, there's Jeff Hardy, and I know that isn't NXT related, but like that's another big name. Bray Wyatt's out there, Strowman's out there. There's a lot of big names out there. I'm not necessarily saying I want to see all of them in AEW, but like I'm sure some of them will wind up in AEW in this next year. So but yeah, the WWE losing so many wrestlers and them changing NXT, it's just it's like, it's just one of those things where like it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out for them, because the way that I see it now is Vince McMahon has his hand way more in the cookie jar of NXT. Like clearly the whole thing now is set up. On one hand, it's way smarter to do it this way for a lot of reasons. I've talked about them before. Like they're gonna have a hard time getting indie talent now, anyways. So like you kind of have to
you gotta
build
make
your
it
own.
Yeah.
But you also have to try to give people the best chance of succeeding on Raw and SmackDown. And I think the best chance to give someone to succeed on those shows is if Vince has a hand in your career from the start in NXT.
Absolutely.
Because what was happening was there was a disconnect between like the indie stars that Triple H was signing, and then like once they got to Vince either didn't get it or he would try to change them too much. But there wasn't this like seamless process of taking some from NXT and then getting them to Raw and SmackDown, because it was jumping from the Triple H world into the Vince Jr. world. So like you just didn't work, and it worked for a couple people, but it didn't work for most people. And now it's like at least Vince is taking people from day one. Like he gets the ball of clay from the start, and he gets to start molding it from the start. So
beautiful analogy.
So that he knows what he's getting when he wants them on Raw or SmackDown. So like, for instance, Grayson Waller. I think Grayson Waller is still not very good. He's okay. He's average. But I can say this because I've watched all of his NXT or all of his 205 Live matches, because I cover that for the Weekender. So even though I haven't really watched him on NXT, I know how well he can wrestle because I've seen him wrestle plenty, and I think he's okay. But he's one of those guys that I could tell. He reminds me a lot of Austin Theory in a lot of ways. He's a young, good-looking guy who you can tell the WWE would like as kind of like one of their faces of the company, and potentially, just based on looks, pretty much, and just being able to wrestle a little bit. I mean, Austin Theory is actually a pretty damn good wrestler. He's still very, very young, but he had a great run in Evolve. If people want to check that out, he was the Evolve champion when he was like 19.
Yes, but I think I saw one of the Evolves that. Yeah.
He was like a literal like wrestling prodigy. Like I knew he was going to be a WWE star, years ago when he was a teenager. But one of these things where like Grayson Waller's kind of in the same boat, and the reason I use him as an example is because I heard that he was already on Raw. So like they must be taking. I think the progression is going to be much faster. For instance, Braun Breaker. He's the one that everybody seems to have honed in on as like, maybe this guy beats Roman Reigns and all this stuff. And it's possible. They just have to streamline the process so much to where like, so Braun Breaker would have to like win the NXT title, which I think he's going to do this weekend over Ciampa. But then he's either going to have like a short title run or something. Because like, if the plan is to have him ready for Roman at some point, or even be like a main event guy in the WWE at some point soon, they got to get him on Raw or SmackDown soon, because most of the Raw and SmackDown audience probably isn't watching NXT. So, like, you have to pretty much train all of them to believe that Braun Breaker's a big deal.
I mean, you could have him win the Royal Rumble, but that's so soon.
You could. I think he's too green for that right now. But
exactly.
But I also think there's no real harm right now in the WWE just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, I think they're going to do the same thing with Omos. Like, Omos is green as hell.
Omos could win the Royal Rumble.
I could see that happening. You know, like, I think that basically the WWE is going to become a greener and greener company for the most part. Like, they'll occasionally, I think, sign some names that AEW loses over the years. Like, for instance, if they could somehow get MJF in 2024, like, that would be humongous for them.
Oh my god! I could see him doing that because he's such a true heel.
Yeah, I don't think he will, but I think if they made him the right offer, he'd definitely consider it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he's a very true heel, and if you want to be a true heel...
Well, that's the problem, is, like, he would have to have it written into his contract with the WWE that he has creative control over how his character is dealt with, because they would ruin it so quick.
Oh, man.
Like, they'd probably make him like EC3 and have him just not talk at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Like, so... But I guess the whole point of me, I guess, bringing any of this up is that was one of the biggest kind of things that in 2021 that was worth mentioning, was the complete shift in philosophy of, like, what NXT even is now. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out for them. But I mean, there was a ton of great stuff in AEW this year. We had a lot of great debuts. I mean, Danielson and Cole on the same night.
Danielson and Cole, yes, that was like the best pay-per-view of 2021.
Double or Nothing.
Was that Double or Nothing, or was that All Out?
Might have been All Out. See, I'm so bad at remembering which pay-per-views which.
I think it was All Out.
I think you're right. Yeah.
So that was definitely
because Full Gear was the most recent one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Full Gear. I was in the hospital. Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that was definitely the best pay-per-view of 2021 for me. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I'd say it was that or Full Gear. Those two back-to-back pay-per-views are like, take your pick of those two. I mean, my favorite match of the year was Darby and MJF. I love that match.
Yes.
That was a perfect match in my opinion. Like, the psychology was perfect. The match ruled. The crowd was hot as hell because it opened the pay-per-view.
Yes.
MJF started the match with a headlock. He ended the match with a headlock. Like, I mean, and he used the diamond ring, and I mean, it was just it was done perfectly.
I'm trying to think some other
Lucha Bros and Young Bucks in the cage was incredible.
That was legendary. I got chills thinking about that. Kenny Omega being 3 belts.
Yeah, that was awesome. He was the wrestler of the year for me, like the best wrestler.
His title reign was great.
Yeah.
And then perfect send off, having Hangman win it. So.
Yep.
Then.
I mean, Ruby Riott debuted.
I think that was the same pay-per-view. I think that was All Out too, wasn't it?
I think so.
Or was
she was. I don't remember. She was the Joker or whatever, right?
That's right. That's right. The Joker.
I'll tell you one of my favorite.
Chris Jericho and
Nick Gage.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was sick. That was awesome. It was cool to see an actual death match on TNT, like, and they actually did it. Like, that was awesome.
Was Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa this year?
Yeah, the Lights Out match. That was within last year.
That was fantastic.
Incredible. One of the best matches of the year. If I had to narrow it down to the best, like, female matches, that would be the best match of the year for the women, in my opinion, for the entire year in any company. And it's way up there, like, regardless of gender, it's way up there in, like, match of the year.
Yeah.
I don't put it on quite the same level as, like, Danielson, Omega, Darby, MJF, and Hangman Danielson, but, like, it's in that conversation. It's within the top 5 best matches of the year. Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, I think, which is, like, a huge compliment, because it's like, that's like everyone talking about AEW's women's division, like, it's like so weak all these years, and it's like, no, like, they're putting on, like, some of the best matches of the entire year. It's just people are just focusing on the negatives, but, like, the division is actually getting pretty stacked now.
Yeah.
And they're having good matches. So
And they're having great matches. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
uh,
Other good matches.
another memory, actually the memory, the moment, the match, everything, all put together as one. Probably my favorite. I'll say my favorite segment in all of wrestling this past year was the entrances for the Dark Order and Hangman.
Yes. When they put the light.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and the Dark Order is just super fired up. But you can see it in the faces of like Reynolds and Silver and those guys.
Chills.
Because they're like, this is the biggest reaction they've ever gotten, and it was also the biggest reaction that Hangman has gotten. I think
Hangman was hype. You could see it.
Yeah, and the whole like what makes a cowboy like thing beforehand, where it's like explaining everything like. That was so perfect. And then the Elite Squad comes out with the basketballs doing the Space Jam thing.
That
and
Space Jam thing was hilarious. They came out before that.
and then the match was awesome.
The match was great.
And then Hangman lost, and everyone got really angry.
Everyone got mad.
And it was clearly just to set up him winning the title. So like,
yes, it made it so much sweeter, didn't it?
Yeah. So that was one of my favorite moments of the year. And then also both promo battles between MJF and CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. Those were the two best back and forths of the year for me, and they both involved CM Punk.
Yep. I think Hook is one of the unexpected surprises too.
Of course, absolutely.
I think that's really cool. I think that'll be something to look forward to in 2022. Send Hook.
Yeah. I think he might be the one to actually beat Cody for this TNT title.
Right? That's what I think.
That's a long-term story, by the way. Like, people might have forgotten. Like, when Hook debuted, the first time we ever saw him, it was during a segment with Cody and Team Taz. And they kind of hinted, like, at some point, like, Hook's gonna come after you over this. And it's gonna be years from then when it happens. And they just don't forget about that kind of stuff in AEW, which I love. Like, little hints and little things that happened years ago lead to actual stories that pay off years later. So yeah, Hook. The whole thing with Hook that's so incredible is he became this meme because he wasn't wrestling for so long, and we all just assumed like he might be okay, but like probably wasn't gonna be that great, but. Me and Doug talked about it on our show on Tuesday, how he kind of became like the Chuck Norris joke of wrestling, where it's like,
that's perfect.
Like Superman wears Hook pajamas type stuff.
Yeah.
And then he wrestled, and it's like, holy shit, he's good. Like, he's actually good. Like, this is incredible because he has all this hype and all this meme-ness to him and all this stuff, but he can go in the ring. So, like, the crowd is, like, he's getting almost, we and Doug talked about this, too, he's kind of getting, like, a Goldberg-style reaction where it's, like, the fans are just kind of chanting, send Hook, and they just want to see him come out and just destroy people.
Yeah.
And I'm totally down for all that. I think it's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so funny. I know, I love what's going on with Hook. And just the icing on the cake is him actually being good. Like, that's just, like, so great. It's like, he can go. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. It gets you even more hyped up. So.
Yes, I love his wrestling style. It's a shoot style where he's doing, like, inside leg trips and stuff to, like, get people on the ground and then trying to, like, get their backs and work submissions. It's, like, it's a very believable style for how he's doing it. And he has, like, the judo background and stuff, too, that Taz is always talking about on commentary. So they're doing... I think that it's been done perfect. There's some people that don't like that he no-sold the Rikishi driver from Bear Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that. Like, because honestly, what I think that they should do, and it probably won't play out like this, but if it does, just remember, you heard it here.
You heard it first.
Cody is clearly setting up for a pedigree at some point. Like, that's the whole thing. I think when Cody decides to go heel, the moment will be him hitting a pedigree. Like, that's going to be what that seals it as, like, y'all been booing me? I'm going to give you a reason to boo me finally, And he's going to start doing that kind of stuff. And I think that it should be Cody versus Hook for the TNT title. Cody hits the pedigree on Hook, and everyone's like, damn it. Like, he's a heel, and now he's rubbing it in our faces, and he's going to beat Hook, our guy, and Hook just no-sells it. Just stands right up.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome.
And everyone's like, wait a second. Like, now Cody's a heel, and
everyone would stand up and cheer.
And everyone's, like, marking out, because, like, Ultimate Warrior style, because, like, Hook just stood up from the pedigree, because everyone figured that was going to be the moment that, like, that buried Hook. Like, and maybe Cody comes to the ring with the shovel and the whole deal. Like, he's going to bury Hook. And Hook just stands up from the pedigree. And Cody's got this look on his face like, what's happening?
At AEW, are you listening? Please.
And Hook just grabs him by the neck and just chokes him out. Like, and the crowd just goes insane. But yeah, I'd love to see something like that.
That is awesome. I think AEW needs to watch this because that would be so cool. At Tony Khan, please.
Now, we also have to make sure Hook's ready. Based on what I'm seeing so far, he looks good to go. I don't think they should necessarily do this right away, but I also don't think they should wait super long either. They gotta strike while the iron's hot. And AEW, I think, has been really good about that. A lot of companies, like Impact Wrestling is a good example of this. Good example or bad example, I guess, depending on how you look at this. They do a really bad job about waiting way too long to put titles on people, but then they wind up doing it. So it's like someone like years ago, Brian Cage was the #1 contender for the Impact title for like half a year, if not longer, and he lost to John Morrison multiple times in title shots, and like, but the fans wanted him as a champion. Like they were waiting for it, and then when they finally gave him the belt, no one really cared, because it's like, now you're like 1-3 against this dude, and you finally beat him, and like, we don't really care that much anymore. They do it with a lot of people. They kind of did it with Moose. They're kind of in the process of doing it with Josh Alexander. They gave him the belt and took it from him, and now people want to see him win it again, but now he's spending his time in a feud with Bronson Reed and stuff, and so it's like, who's fine, by the way. I don't have a problem with Bronson Reed, but he isn't the world title match, which is what people want from Josh Alexander. They did it in Ring of Honor with like Davey Richards and stuff, having him lose too many times and finally winning the title. There's a lot of examples of it. In AEW, they don't do that. It's like Hangman, kind of, but that was a long-term story, and the payoff was exactly what it should have been, given what the story was. And I don't think they waited too long on Hangman. Like, I think they waited. It was pretty much the perfect time. So I think it's kind of similarly with Hook. They won't wait too long, and they'll pull the trigger on him for whatever plans they've got. And if it isn't the TNT title, I mean, it would only make sense for Hook to, at some point soon, turn towards Ricky Starks and be like, "You're holding my dad's title belt. It's time for me to get that."
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like,
that would be cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really good as long as Hook can just keep wrestling at the level he has been, and as long as he can bump and sell, which it looks like he can, and at some point he's gonna have to have real matches that aren't just squashes. But if he can do it even half decently, like, and he's getting the crowd reactions he's getting right now, like, you gotta roll with him.
You gotta strike while the iron's hot. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same with Jade. Jade and Hook are in very similar positions. Like,
yes.
Like, I think Jade is going to win that TBS title, and she's going to be out there basically learning on the job. And I think Hook's kind of in the same boat, because Hook never had a wrestling match until AEW. Like, he had no indie career or anything. So, like, he's just going in. His first match ever was Fuego. You know what I mean? In front of people.
Yeah.
So, like, it's Jade's in kind of the same boat where, and I think it's smart, because when you have them involved.
They both have the strongest person. They have the personality to carry them over while they learn.
Yes, yeah, they're over. Like, people can say what they want about Jade being green, she is, but like, when you're there live at the show, she gets a reaction. She gets a reaction,
and like I said, her character is strong enough to where the wrestling can be a little bit green.
Yeah.
Because the character is so powerful, and she's so powerful, Well, and it's the same with Hook. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you're just looking at Jade, you're like, she looks like she could kick ass.
Yeah, like, she looks like a star. Yeah.
That pump kick she did last night on Thunder Rosa was awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah.
The match was a little rough around the edges because, like, once again, she's green. I mean, and I don't even mean that in, like, a bad way. She's just super new to wrestling. She didn't have an indie career either.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart to do what they're doing with Jade and Hook by having them involved. Like, Jade being involved in the TBS title that's so smart because that keeps her away from Britt. So like that way, both of them can be built strong at the same time, parallel to one another, without one having to beat the other. And Hook's the same kind of way. If you keep him kind of around the FTW title, the TBS title, like
keep him close.
Yeah, you don't have to have him. You don't have to set it up right now to where these wrestlers are beating like the top of the top. Now Thunder Rosa got beat by Jade last night. Thunder Rosa is one of the best that they've got, but the way that they did it was Mercedes Martinez debuting, and like they kept Thunder Rosa looking strong. And my assumption is Thunder Rosa will beat Mercedes at some point, and that'll get her a title shot against Britt. So like I think Thunder Rosa is still set up in the world title mix. Jade Cargill has even more credibility now that she's beaten Thunder Rosa, and I hope she beats Ruby too. Now she'll
win the TBS title with that credibility. Yeah.
And nothing against Thunder Rosa, but like I just once again like what's the harm in putting the TBS title on Jade and having her learn on the job, because that's what the world title's for. Like Britt is still kind of learning on the job too, but she's been around for years. Like she's and she has the luxury too of like she's in the same household as Adam Cole. The two of them are probably just bouncing ideas off each other constantly, helping each other out constantly.
Now they're on the same team, and
yeah, exactly. So it's like there's a lot going for them, and with Jade, it's like I don't know. I just think it's really smart. Like make a homegrown star. That's someone we didn't ever see on the Indies. Someone we didn't ever see on WWE TV and stuff. Like their own star. And Ruby, I think is gonna be fine too. Like if Ruby loses to Jade, everyone still likes Ruby, and they still want to see her fight for titles and stuff. Like I mean, there's only 2 title belts. There's a lot of women on the show now. Like not everybody can be the champion. All at the same time. So,
sorry, I had to plug my.
Oh, you're good. VSW says Thunder Rosa. He could see Thunder Rosa being a AEW champion soon. I think that she'll probably be the one to beat Britt.
I think so too. I think their storyline, like I said, the one match, the best women's match of the year, in my opinion, was both of them, and I think that they can return to that at some point, and I think that they can get to that level again. And I think that, like you said, AEW, man, they give us little hints and pieces throughout the year that we got to pay attention to, and I completely agree. I think Thunder Rosa is not only going to be the one, but she's the one deserving to do it as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's already built in, like you said. It's like all you have to do is run highlights of their first match, and then just book it for pay-per-view. Like you don't even have to have them like really even feuding. Like people will just be hyped up and want to buy it based on the first match. Greg Cherry, what's up, Greg? Good to see you in here, buddy.
Greg.
Says hi, Stephen and Jessi.
VSW is the promo champion, by the way.
The promo champion?
Yeah, he cut this big, good promo for me on Twitter. It was very inspiring.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes, very cool.
Greg says he's happy to see your health doing better.
I've got to go soon because I got stuff.
Yeah, you're good. I didn't realize how long we've been on here already.
I know. We've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes, it looks like, because there's so much great things that happened in 2021 in wrestling.
Yes.
So
we got to talk a good amount about this. We'll probably be here next week at some time talking more wrestling to usher in the new year. Maybe
next time we can talk about what we want in 2022.
I'm down for that. Let's do that.
I'm down. Let's do that. Yeah.
I will most likely be recording some stuff with Doug to release throughout the week. Some like best of awards over on the RVD Tito for Life channel if y'all want to check that out. And we did some other kind of like tributes to the year and whatnot on live rounds on Tuesday. So that's RVD Tito, the number 4 LIFE. So RVD Tito for Life is the channel. The show's called Live Rounds. Shout out to Unkind Esports, our sponsor over there. They're really helping us out a lot, and they're owned by Rob Van Dam. So it's really cool to have like RVD like kind of backing us on that.
That's badass.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get in with their CBD stuff too.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
But yeah, shout out to them. I'll give a shout out to my sponsors or our sponsors here for the show real quick. I'm not gonna put it up on the screen, but I'll tell everyone about it. Make sure to hit up Music City Toys and Collectibles. Follow them on social media at Music City Toys. Their Facebook Live sales are awesome. They're some of the best ways to get wrestling memorabilia, in my opinion. And they have everything: autographs, DVDs, magazines, action figures, everything. So once again, that's Music City Toys and Collectibles, and they have a retail location at 101 West Main Street in Watertown, Tennessee. So check them out if you live near Nashville, Tennessee. make sure to hit up my brother, Brian Jensen, on Instagram. That's BOXINGATL. He can help you with a wide variety of stuff, ranging from neurological issue, if you're even, especially if you're older. He like really specializes in like Parkinson's patients and stuff like that. But he also has fighters that literally train with him and fight amateur level, professional level. But he can also help you just lose weight and get in better shape and learn self-defense. He can help you with a very wide variety of things. And by the way, you don't have to be old to have neurological issues. Like, I have stuff that goes on in my nervous system where, like, you know, my range of motion isn't great and stuff. And Brian has dexterity work where you wouldn't believe how much just like certain exercises, touching your own fingers together, could help you from here all the way up to your brain. Like, so he can help you with so much stuff. Just hit him up on Instagram at BoxingATL, BOXINGATL. Hit him up in the DMs and he'll get something worked out with you. If you're in the Atlanta, Georgia area, he can help you in person. If you aren't, he can help you anywhere in the world through Zoom calls and Skype meetings and all that kind of stuff. And last but never least, shout out to WrestleRumble.com. They got the Royal Rumble Pick'em contest coming up soon.
The best one.
Yes, I don't have the prize list yet. I don't know if that's public yet, but that's the website started because of the Royal Rumble, Wrestle Rumble. Royal Rumble. There you go. So everyone gets really excited for this, and also I might try to put together like a Royal Rumble like a pool for like people that watch this show and people that watch like myself and Doug and stuff. We can all maybe get on something where basically we'll do something where we'll all throw in like $5 or something like that, whatever people are comfortable with. Not a lot, just something to have some fun. And we'll draw numbers. And if your number wins the Royal Rumble, you get the pot of money. So that's always fun to do, that kind of stuff. And find some friends and do that kind of stuff. Like, make the Royal Rumble fun. Like, even though I don't like the WWE anymore, I get excited for the Royal Rumble. It's something I've always watched once a year my entire life. So check it out, WrestleRumble.com. Make sure to follow them on all social media at WrestleRumble. And of course, use code FightTalk on IWTV.live, IndependentWrestling.tv. They have some year-end shows coming up that are going to be sick. They're going to be live streaming tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday. So now's a great time to use code FightTalk and watch some independent pro wrestling. We've got GCW this weekend also, a 2-night show, back-to-back shows on Fight TV, FITE. So shout out to Fight. And they got the Hammerstein show coming up later this month. I'll be doing the post show for Fightful. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing a Fightful post show for that because it's going to be a big one for GCW. So got a lot of good stuff. Impact Hard to Kills this month, doing the post show for Fightful for that. We got UFC 270. I'll be live at Terminus here in Atlanta in a couple weeks. Like there's good stuff going on this month in wrestling. So we're going to start the year off right. And thank you all very much for joining us. And my Twitter, of course, is FightTalk_. Jessi, make sure to plug all the stuff you got going on. And also, before I forget to tell you, right when we get off here, text me your PayPal information.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I've been trying to send Jessi her money from the donation stream for a week, and she keeps ghosting on the.
I gotta look it up.
I'm like, I have your money sitting here that I want you to have. So.
Yeah, you did. You asked me that, and I was trying to think, and I've been thinking about it randomly throughout the day, and then I forget. So.
I can always transfer it to my bank account, then send it to you on Venmo if you want to just take a little longer for like the transfer and then the other transfer.
You can do that. I don't care. I mean, whatever you want. I mean, I can look up my PayPal. It's not that big of a deal.
Perfect.
I can try. Yeah, my OnlyFans is still around, still there. I'm not really active on it. I do post stuff. I just don't really message people right now, but that is the best way to support me directly. OnlyFans.com/Jessi the Buckeye. It really does help me out. Obviously, I can't post anything new. I don't think anyone would want to see that, sadly.
You never know. There's some people.
Well,
out
I
there
don't know if I'd be allowed to.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? That would be. That could be like a lawsuit. Maybe I should try and then sue them. No, I'm just saying. No, because this like it's a disability, I guess. I mean, not to me, but anyways. Yeah, OnlyFans.com/Jessi the Buckeye is the best way to support me directly. Or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps us out. Give this video a thumbs up. Share it with people. Chat. We love you, chat. We love you, chat. Give this video a thumbs up. And my Papa John's pizza code is expiring on the 31st, so you better use it while you can. I think it is. I haven't gotten an email about it being good for the next year, so you better use it while you can. Jessi25 for 25% off your order. I hope that they'll renew it. It was really unexpected that they renewed it last year. I was not expecting that at all. Maybe they will. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it. Maybe Pizza Hut will hit me up. I don't know.
We need to
Papa
start
John.
shopping these out to like
Yeah, I need to
various.
start shopping.
Yes.
Who else? Domino's? I don't know.
Hell,
I
we'll
don't
we'll,
really
we'll 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 plug Hungry Howie's if we have to. We don't
I'll
care.
plug Little Caesars. I don't
There
care.
you go. There you go. If you want
we could-
25% off of a pizza that's already $4,
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Yeah, so that's still around. Follow me on Twitter at Jessie the Buckeye. That's basically it. Yeah. 2021 was a crazy year. I gave birth and almost died. The circle of life. But I'm here. I'm alive. And we are all here. We're all wrestling fans. And there was some damn good wrestling. There was some funny wrestling, some weird wrestling, some sad wrestling, some angry wrestling. But there was a lot of wrestling. And that's the most important thing. And yeah, that's it. So I guess we'll see you next week, and we'll see what we can look forward to in 2022.
Yes.
Be safe this new year.
Yeah.
Don't drink and drive, please, people. Don't drink and drive. For the love of God, it's not worth your life, please.
Nope. Yeah. And I know people get frustrated because like the Ubers are hard to get and they get expensive and all that stuff, but maybe do some stuff closer to home.
AAA, you can AAA does it for free. I think AAA will do it for free. There's a lot of resources out there. If you get mad at Uber, search on your phone. Have a backup plan. Seriously, have a backup plan. There's plenty of people offering free rides. Seriously, just
or you can do what I'm doing and just having a low key New Year's. I'll be hanging out at home with some friends and watching wrestling. There's IWTV, there's GCW, there's I mean, we got day 1 on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, I think that NXT takeover or whatever they call it now.
Yeah.
That NXT show's coming up this weekend too. I mean, there's hang out and just watch wrestling or do
I'll be
something
here
a little closer to home that you don't have to deal with like all the crazy people in the traffic and all the danger if you don't want to, you know?
Hang out with the people close to you if you can, because every year and every moment is precious.
Yes. So that said, that's a good note to head out on.
Yes.
For Jessie Davin, I'm Stephen Jensen.